Thank you for joining me today. This is a yin practice. We're going to go deep into this. To get started, just come to the back of your mat and kneel. I'm also sitting on my toes in what's called toes pose, just to open up my feet a little bit. But just bow your head and really think about what you want to get from this class. The key word that I used when I was going through this flow is dissolution. I just want us to dissolve. By the end of this class, we're just gonna have melted. So just think about what you want. And as you go through this class, breathe through your nose the whole time. Inhale, exhale, all through the nose. If you catch yourself breathing through your mouth, then it's not a big deal. Just keep coming back to your nose. Ideally, the whole time, you want to be nose breathing. So we're just doing some basic stretches now. We're just opening up the body a little bit before we get started. So if you want, you can clasp your hands behind you and pull them down to the ground. It's just going to open up the chest. Turn your head from side to side, some gentle neck stretches. I'm doing some neck rolls now. Just go whichever way feels good for you. This isn't a workout really, it's just the warm-up. Just a few more head rotations. Breathing through the nose the whole time. And as we go through this yin yoga class, what we really want to be doing is just getting as present as possible. So just roll your shoulders back and forth a little bit as well. It's whatever feels good. Again, we're just opening the body at this stage. And now we're going to come into child's pose. So allow your big toes to kiss each other. Put your knees on the outside of your mat, or on the edge of your mat, and then just come forward. And we're going to hold this for a little while. So just take some deep, deep breaths. Again, through your nose. I'll stop talking about that. And as you go through this class, you're going to notice that your breath is just going to get deeper and deeper as you get into your parasympathetic nervous system. And just really start to feel very present and very regulated. So remember, this is a yin class, which means that we're really just holding these poses for quite a while without any forcing. There are 3 stages to a yin pose. First, we have to find the edge. Then we relax into it. We find stillness. That's a key word in this practice. And then we just commit to holding it. So I'm going to cue you when we come out of this. But just keep breathing through that nose and just relaxing into the pose. Just a few more deep breaths here. And then we're going to come out of the pose in a little while. I'll let you know. We're going to come into Sphinx pose next. So now that's the end of child pose. Scoot towards the front of your mat as slowly as possible. And to get into Sphinx pose, just put your forearms out right in front of you and bring your elbows underneath your shoulders, and then just reach your heart forward. You want to feel a slight stretch in your back, your lower back, and then just keep your eyes closed and keep breathing into this yin energy. Yin yoga is such a gift because the perfect medicine or antidote to all the running around, all the human doing that we do out there in the world. This is just a space to really reconnect to ourselves and our being instead of our doing. So just keep on taking those deep breaths. Close your eyes. You can close your eyes for all of these poses pretty much. And just treat it as a kind of living meditation. Just a few more deep breaths here in Sphinx pose. You should be starting to feel really present now already. All that nose breathing. When you're ready, come all the way up into Cobra pose. So just push your upper body as far up as you can. Keep your knees on the floor. So slightly different to upward dog, for example. Just really open up your heart and your chest. If you want, you can start to wiggle from side to side. Just open up your spine. Keep looking up as you do it. Keep breathing through your nose. And then we're going to come back. We're just going to do some cat-cows. So do these at your own pace. Cow is when you're looking up, your heart is open. Cat is when you arch your back, you look down. On the inhales, you want to be looking up. And every time you arch your back and look down, just let out a big exhale through your nose. Just do this at your own pace. Really opening up the spine now. now we're going to come into downward dog. So scoot your heels all the way back. You can bend one knee at a time just to open up your calves. Downward dog is not traditionally a yin pose. We're just really using this as a transition so we can keep the flow going. Just take some deep breaths here. We're going to hold it for a little while. So we're treating it in a yin manner. Keep taking those deep breaths. When you're ready, lift your right leg and then bring it through. You want to bring your right ankle to your left wrist. We're in pigeon pose now. So just open up your heart. Make sure your back leg is straight. And you should feel a bit of a stretch in your right thigh. Keep really breathing into this. And now come all the way down. Put your hands out in front of you. We're coming into sleeping swan. If this is too intense for you, you can stay in pigeon pose. But sleeping swan is where we really start to get into this deep yin presence. An amazing stretch. And it takes us deeper into our breath as well. Again, we're going to be holding this pose for a while, so don't worry about looking at the screen or anything like that. I'll cue you when we're going to come out of it. Just enjoy being with yourself, being present, and breathing deep. Just a few more breaths here, deep breaths in sleeping swan. And then we're going to come out. So scoot your left leg all the way back. Bring your right foot forward into a lunge. Put your left knee down to the floor. And we're just going to come into lizard pose. Take a few deep breaths. You can push your right leg out to the side a little bit if you want a deeper stretch. It's called winged dragon. And then come down onto your forearms, whatever you're doing with your legs, and just take some really, really deep breaths. It's going to open up your hips a little bit more. So just a few more breaths here. We're going to scoot back into downward dog. Take some deep breaths here. Get into the moment. With all of these yin poses, it's not what you look like, it's what you feel like. And all you want to do in this session is just feel that stillness, that dissolution that I talked about at the start. So just a few more breaths. And then lift your left leg, scoot through into pigeon pose on the other side. So bring your left leg, your left ankle to your right wrist, and then just open up your chest. Keep breathing. So we're just going to take a few more final breaths here in this pigeon pose. Now we're going to go down into sleeping swan. So just come all the way down, hands out in front of you. Really relax into this one, and I'll cue you again when we come out of the pose. So just a few more deep breaths here. You're probably feeling this deeply now. Probably feel very different to how you did at the start of the session. And then scoot that right leg back, left leg into a lunge, and we're just going to do that lizard pose on the opposite leg. So when you're ready, put your right knee to the ground. You should feel this in your hips once again. And then come all the way down to your elbows. Let's go deeper into the pose. Remember, you can push your left leg out to the side a little bit. The winged dragon variant of the pose. Just a deeper stretch in your hips. Whatever you do though, to keep doing that nose breathing. And just really enjoy that stillness. That dynamic stillness. Now, we're going to come back into downward dog. Just as a transition. So, scoot all the way back. Let's take some really deep breaths. Don't hold your head up. Just let it drop. Just gonna hold this for a little while. Not too long. Just keep breathing. And then jump to the front of your mat and sit in hero's pose. That means that you sit between your ankles. And we're just gonna stay here for a while, take some deep breaths. So lift your chest up and put your chin to your chest and just really get into your breath now. We're going to stay here maybe for a minute or so. Deeper and deeper into that presence. So just a few more final deep breaths here. And then we're going to transition into saddle pose. So you can start by coming back onto your hands if you want, or you can go back onto your elbows like I've done. And then eventually you just want to go all the way back. Spread your hands out behind your head and just really sink into it. If you feel any pain in your knees or anything like that, then readjust. Ultimately, with some of these yin postures, you may feel some sensations, a dull feeling, a tweak here or there. As long as you don't feel pain, you're doing it right. But if you do feel pain, then you need to make some tweaks. we're gonna stay here for a while. Close your eyes. Keep breathing through that nose. And I'll cue you again when we're gonna shift into the next pose. So just get lost within yourself. So just a final few breaths here, and then we're going to transition out of the pose. So when you're ready, just come up the way you might have got into the pose, come up to your elbows, put your head back, just spend a moment or two here. Nice little neck stretch. We're going to come up slowly in increments. Stay in your breath. And then walk your hands up into hero's pose once again. We're going to do a spinal twist. So just put one hand on your knee and then twist to the other side behind you. And then switch to the other side. Opening up the spine. Now, we're going to scoot to the back of our mats and we're going to come into diamond pose. So just put your feet next to each other. The space in between your legs is going to look like a diamond. And then just fold forward. You should feel this in the back of your thighs. And once again, we're just going to stay here, really get into our breath and that stillness and the presence that is within us at all times. And I'll cue you again when we come out of this pose. few more breaths here. And then get ready to come out of the pose. So we're going to sit back up and we're going to come into half butterfly pose or one-legged forward bend. So put your right leg straight out in front of you. Your left foot needs to go into your groin of your right leg, and then make yourself into an L shape, straighten your back, and then fall forward into the pose. This is a yin class, so you can literally just fall forward and just go wherever you go. You don't have to straighten your back out too much. You can have a rounded back, and that's perfectly fine. Go deeper if you want. Just grab whatever you can on your foot and just breathe deeply into the pose. So get ready to come out of this pose now. You're probably feeling very present. Slowly crawl up. And we're just going to switch sides. So put your left leg out straight. Put your right foot to your left groin. Make yourself into that L shape. And then when you're ready, fall forward. One-legged forward bend on the other side. Or one-legged butterfly. Just really, really just appreciate the gift that you're giving yourself right now. Taking some real time just to be, instead of running around out there in the world doing things. Nothing wrong with doing, but you need to balance it out with the being. And that's what you're doing right now. Just a few final breaths here. Really savor these last moments of this pose. Feeling some deep yin energy right now. And then slowly crawl up out of the pose, straighten your right leg and put it next to your left leg. And we're just going to spend some time in Dandasana, staff pose. So just sit with your back as straight as you can. You might want to apply a little bit of pressure in your arms to support that. But really, if you just straighten from your lower back, that should straighten your spine as a whole. And we're just going to enjoy being here. An amazing thing that I heard is that we don't use our body to get in these poses. We use the poses to get into our body. So even though this is a very simple pose, just use it to really get into your body, and then into your breath, and then just into everything else. Just a few final moments here. And then come up into that L shape again. You can interlace your hands and get a stretch if you want. But ultimately, you're going to come forward into caterpillar pose or forward fold. You can grab your feet. If that's out of reach, you can grab your big toes, or you can just grab anything else that you want to grab that's in the vicinity. Just let your body fall where it needs to fall, where it feels good. If you want, you can even drop your hands just to the side of you. Just find that stillness in the pose. few more breaths here. You might be feeling this in every cell of your body right now. But just enjoy these final moments. Then we're going to crawl up slowly. Just walk our hands back, and we're going to go into shoelace pose. So put your right knee over your outstretched left leg, and then bring your left knee underneath the right knee. Ideally, you want your feet to be pointing out at the side. And ultimately, all we're going to do is just walk ourselves forward in a moment. Just come as far forward as feels good for you. You should feel this in your butt cheeks. And whenever I do this pose, I just get deep into that stillness I keep talking about. So hopefully you're going to feel that as well now. Just really stay as present as you can whilst feeling whatever you need to feel in that moment. Whatever you become aware of, just accept it. That's yin right there. So we're going to stay here for a little while. Nose breathing, of course. And I'll cue you when we're ready to come out of the pose. A few more breaths and we're going to come out of this pose. So just get ready for that. Slowly come up, just walk your hands back. And we're just going to do this same shoelace pose on the other side. So just straighten your legs out in front of you, and then just reverse the position that your knees were in. So the left leg is now on top, the left knee is over the right knee, feet are pointed out to the sides. And again, we're just gonna walk ourselves forward when we're ready, as far as feels comfortable for you. And I'm just gonna leave you there with your breath, with yourself, with whatever pops up, and I'll cue you in a few minutes when we come out of this pose. So we're going to come out of this pose in a few moments. So just take a few final breaths. And then when you're ready, crawl up. So take a few moments to just gather your thoughts, gather yourself. And we're going to come into frog pose. So come to the side of your mat and fold the edges of your mat in just a little bit. This is to offer some protection for your knees when we go into frog pose. And then put your knees on the areas that you just folded. Ideally, you want a 90-degree angle with your legs. And then just when you've got into that, just push your butt back. You can rest on your elbows, or if you're extremely flexible, you can go all the way down onto your chest. Either way, try and keep pushing your butt back so you get a little bit of tension. That's going to open your hips up even more. Frog pose, Manduka Asana, is one of the most intense hip openers I find. And every so often, you might be able to get an extra inch or two from your legs and how far apart they are. Just find what works for you. And then when you find your edge, commit to staying in it and take some deep, deep breaths. We're just going to stay here for a few minutes. I often find that frog pose is a bit of a turning point for people. And after this pose, you might be more dissolved than you've been in a while. So just get into it, get into the breath, and see where it takes you. Just a few more breaths here in frog pose. Nearly done. And then to get out of it, just come forward. Like literally just fall forwards and then crawl back from there. Unfold your mat. And now we're just gonna make the most of that dissolution that we've just experienced. So lie down on your mat, face down. We're just gonna surrender to this pose right now. So you can look to either the left or the right, put either your left or right cheek on the ground, and literally just surrender to whatever is going on inside you right now. We're going to stay here for a little while. And then just switch your cheek. So if you've got your right cheek on the ground, switch over to the left and vice versa. Just balance things out. Now we're just going to quickly do something called a sacral rock. So bring your outstretched hands underneath your forehead and then just rock your hips from side to side. This is just a really nice thing to do for the spine. Balances everything out, gets all the energy moving in the way that it needs to. So now we're just going to do a quick shoulder stretch. So stretch your right hand out in front of you and then put your left hand underneath your shoulder, thread the needle, and you should feel this on your left shoulder. Just a nice, simple stretch. You don't have to put your right hand out in front of you if that's too intense. You can bring it closer. It's whatever works for you, but you want to feel something in your left shoulder. So keep taking those nose breaths. And just really dissolve. It's the key word of this practice. You should be feeling really dissolved right now. And then when you're ready, switch over. So your left hand is extended, and then your right hand goes underneath. You thread the needle underneath your shoulder. Final breath or two here, and then we're going to come up into puppy pose. So crawl your knees back to the back of your mat pretty much, and then just put your chest towards the ground, your hands stretched out in front of you. Keep your butt above your knees, and ultimately you want to feel this in your shoulders. It can be quite intense for some people. If it's not that intense for you, you can go down onto your chin or your forehead. But ultimately, you want to feel this in your shoulders and in your upper arms, your biceps. And just really feel into this. Some final breaths here. And then we're just going to do a few quick cat-cows, just because it feels good. So just do these at your own pace. Remember, breathe in when you look up, breathe out when you look down, you go into cat. And then we're gonna come onto our backs. So just roll back slowly. Put your legs out straight in front of you. So bring your right knee into your chest. Bring your head up to your chest. Rotate your ankles a few times. Whatever feels good. And then go into that spinal twist. So push your right leg down to the side with your left hand. And then stretch your right hand out over your shoulder. And this should just feel amazing right now. If you feel like going a little bit deeper now, you can grab your left foot with your right hand and then just kind of pull it up. You'll get a bit of a quad stretch as well. Just a few more breaths here. Keep going deeper and deeper into it. And then we're just going to roll up, give that right knee a squeeze, and then we're going to switch over to the other side. So we're just going to do exactly what we did on the other side. Bring your left knee up, give it a squeeze, and then get into that twist, that spinal twist on the other side. Once again, if you want, you can reach out and grab your left foot this time, but it's totally up to you. With all of these yin poses, find your edge, or with any yoga pose, find your edge and see what you can learn there. Now, when you're ready, bring that left knee up, give it a squeeze as you come out of the pose. And then put your legs out straight in front of you. We're going to go into banana pose. So scoot your hips to the right side of your mat, and then move your legs over to the left side, and then move your upper body to the left side as well. So if somebody was looking at you from above, you'd be curved like a banana. You're getting a nice side stretch all down the side of your body. You can hook your right foot over your left leg to go deeper into it. But ultimately, you just want to feel a nice side stretch all down the side of your body. And of course, you want to keep nose breathing and really just enjoying this dissolution that we have uncovered. So now we're going to become a banana on the other side of our body. So when you're ready, just reverse everything. So scoot your hips to the other side, put your legs to the other side, put your upper body to the other side, and just balance things out by getting that side stretch on the other side of your body as a whole. Final breath or two here. And slowly come back to the center of the mat with your hips. And we're going to come into constructive rest pose. So just put your feet out at the side of the mat. Allow your knees to knock together. And then just stretch your arms out anywhere that feels good for you. We're really winding down now. So just think about how this session has made you feel. Reflect on the intention that you set at the start of the session. And just allow yourself to really have a final few moments with yourself here in this pose. If you want, you can come into reclined cobbler's pose or reclined butterfly. Just allow your legs to fall out open, keeping your feet together. And if you want, you can stretch your hands out behind you like a diamond. I love doing that. It just opens the chest a little bit more. Just really get into the final moments of stillness of this practice. Just get deep into yourself and into your life. now finally, we're going to come into Shavasana. So just put your legs out in front of you, your hands out to the side with your palms up. This is the most important pose of the whole class. It's the pose of receptivity. So just receive whatever has been offered to you right now. Stay in your breath, keep that nose breathing, and just really try and feel a sense of gratitude for yourself and for life, for going through this practice and really giving yourself what you're feeling right now. Keep that deep breathing. If you want, you can take a final stretch behind you. Stretch your arms out above your head. Stretch your toes. Really get that stretch. And then when you're ready, let's roll over into a fetal position on your favorite side, whichever one calls to you. Let's take a few more final deep breaths here. Then, when you're ready, you're slowly going to crawl up out of that into a easy seated position, whatever works for you, as we get ready to wrap up this practice. I'm going to do a few ohms just to give myself a bit of an inner vibration. Feel free to join me if you like. I'm going to do 3. Thank you for your practice. This has been amazing for me. I felt very, very dissolved after this. I hope you feel the same. And I hope as you go out there, off the mat, with the rest of your day or night, whatever you're doing, you can take this amazing feeling into what you're doing. Remember who you are, what life is, and what it means to be real. Namaste.